Welcome to the second episode of Wrap Geekery with Amy. I'm Amy, and I wrap babies. This is one of them. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about breaking in a woven wrap. So what does it mean to break in a woven wrap? Basically, it all starts when you get a brand new wrap, and it comes out of the box. And brand new wraps have just come off the loom in most cases, so they are in what we call loom state, which basically means that the fibers are still smooth and are still perfect right off the loom, and they haven't had any time to weave into each other yet. I made a drawing. So when the fibers come off the loom, they look, if you can see, and that's in focus, they look like this. They're very smooth, and they haven't had any chance to start to transform to this, which is a fiber that has little microscopic pieces of fiber coming off it, and those microscopic fibers from one string weave into another string, and they start to lock the strings together. We want the strings to be locked in together. We don't want the wrap to be in loom state, because when it's in loom state and those fibers are smooth, they can really easily pull away from each other. So you could have thread shifting, or you could have threads pulling out from the weave, and that ruins the look of your wrap, but it also could make your wrap unsafe, because you could have a hole and you could have something that starts to become a worse and worse and worse problem, and you don't want that. So always break in a wrap when you receive it new, so that the fibers can lock together and we can reduce the risk of pulls and thread shifting and make the wrap as safe as it possibly can be. Sorry, my little guy is getting a little fussy. Anyway, so there are two ways basically, or two methods, two things that are important to break in woven wraps. One of those is friction, and the other is heat. So when you get a new wrap straight out of the box, the first thing you're going to want to do is wash and dry the wraps, because that applies the friction to start those smooth fibers to unravel just a tiny bit and get those microscopic little feeler guys out there to start locking into the fibers that are surrounding it. So always wash and dry wraps. Always follow manufacturer's instructions. For the most part, a cotton wrap like this is I think 45% cotton and 55% mercerized cotton. So it broke in really easily. 100% cotton is going to be a little bit more difficult, but I've been breaking this wrap in all week because it came to me in loom state, and it's done a really good job with all the work that I've put it through, which we'll talk about. But anyway, follow manufacturer's instructions for washing and drying your wraps. And some wraps might also benefit from a steam iron. Things that are made of, like hemp. Hemp really likes heat. Linen tends to like irons as well. So you might also want to iron your wrap when you first wash and dry it. Another thing that you can do, speaking of drying, is to just dry your wraps really often. You can also dry them with a tennis ball and a sock, or a few tennis balls in clean socks. The socks just prevent the yellow tennis stuff from getting all over your wraps, the yellow fuzzy stuff from the tennis ball. And the combination of friction and the tennis balls moving things around just gives, or the combination of the dryer tumbling and the tennis balls moving things around gives the friction that the wraps like to start doing their unraveling and breaking in. Again, it's unraveling on a microscopic sort of level though, so it's not affecting the longevity of your wrap or the safety of your wrap or anything like that. It's really just getting those fibers to lock in together to make the wrap softer and easier to use. So another thing, wash and dry, put it in the dryer often, steam iron it maybe. You could also wrap with it often. That's what I did to break in this one. This one's made of a cotton Reprieve blend, and Reprieve breaks in really easily, but this one needed just a little bit more convincing, so I washed it and I dried it, and then I just wore it regularly for a couple of weeks, and it's now like really soft, and it's one of my go-to wraps. Obviously, I'm wearing it right now. So wrap often. Another thing you can do is to braid your woven wrap. So I'm going to braid this wrap here real quick, and when I'm done, it looks like this wrap. This is a braided woven wrap. You can see it looks just like a French braid on this side, and then on this side it's got, if you can see that, if it's in focus, I hope that it is, it's got little nubbins. And when I finish braiding the wrap, I also stretch it, and you can see the wrap can really stretch a good bit when it's braided like that. And the stretching is also applying friction to the fibers and getting them to break in. Okay, so you want to start with your wrap like this, and I am going to tie a knot. So I'm just gonna, hopefully you can see all that. Well, let's start again. Make sure you can see it. Okay, got my wrap. So I put the wrap over like this, and then tuck it behind. You're just making a simple knot in the wrap, right? Just a regular knot. And then this loop that's created from the knot, I stick my hand through and go from the other side. There's the loop. I stick my hand through the loop, and I grab, no, I had it right before, sorry, sleep deprived. I stick my hand through the loop, and I grab the wrap, and I pull it through the loop. So I have another loop. So that's the most difficult part. Let's show it again, and you'll see why I'm showing it again in a minute. So make a knot. Make a knot with a loop. Hopefully you can see the loop there. Hello. Stick your hand through the loop, grab the wrap, and pull it through. Okay, so you have another loop. And then you're just going to keep going, grabbing the wrap, pulling it through the loop, making another loop, grabbing the wrap, pulling it through the loop, making another loop, grabbing the wrap, pulling it through the loop. And this very act of braiding your wrap is putting friction on the fibers, and so it's breaking it in as you braid the wrap. And the same thing goes when you unbraid the wrap. You'll also be pulling it against itself and causing friction, which breaks in the fibers. Hand in, grab it, pull it through. I generally recommend not using the hand that has your wedding ring on it, like I'm doing right now, because your wedding ring can sometimes grab those fibers and pull them loose, and you don't want that. So when you're done, you just pull the tail through the end, and there you have a woven wrap. Looks like a braid again. Very pretty. And has nubs on the side. And then what I like to do with these guys is, got my cool fuzzy fall socks on. Hopefully you can see this. If I put my foot up here-ish. Okay, well, I take the end of my wrap and put it in my foot. Like that. And then I take the wrap and I pull it up like this, and sometimes I take it over my knee and stretch it out like this. Basically I just take the wrap and I stretch it, and you can see how much that stretches when it's in that braid. It's pretty awesome. And the act of stretching, like I said with the yellow one, it starts to pull the fibers so that they have friction, basically. And then to get it out, you just kind of pull the wrap through the knots again. This usually comes out easier. I think it did something wrong. Well, I braided it right at least. So anyway, unbraiding it also provides that friction that locks the fibers together. So another thing you can do when I'm done unbraiding this is to make a hammock out of your wrap. And the hammock is just like you're thinking. It's a hammock like lying on the beach, a hammock. And you can put in the hammock books, or even your children if you do it in a really safe spot that's secure. And the stretching of the hammock also provides friction that starts to break in your wrap. So I'm going to show you a hammock on this crib. So what you want to do is take your wrap, and actually I'll just get in here. Here we go. You want to take your wrap, and you can't see the top of my head, but that's okay. Pull it through the top rails of your crib. I'm going to like lock myself into the crib with this hammock. That's okay. And then the other side, same thing. Pull it in. And then take the two tails. Make sure they're a little bit more even. And knot them together. It's stuck on my wrap. That's so funny. Okay, so knot them together once and then twice. Make sure that it is a really secure double knot. Put that off to the side. I'm actually going to get out of here. Okay, and then you can put things in this hammock that you've created. Put that knot off to the side. Find the rails of your wrap and spread it out. And like this is just one of my daughter's toys that had pennies in it. But you can stick it in the hammock. Heavier things like books might be a better way to go, so you're actually getting some pressure. But you can put a child in there too, like I said, if you're, oh, sorry baby. If it's a really secure place, and that will stretch out the wrap and give more friction. Another thing you can do, this is why I wanted to film this video in here, is you can thread your wrap through the rails of a crib. I'm just going to do a few. So you can see, oh, sorry baby. You can see that the wrap is thread through these rails of the crib, and you can pull it away. And you can pull it another way to pull the wrap through the crib. So we'll just stand up for the rest of this. And then another thing that you can do is pull the wrap through some ring sling. Okay. I think he's okay now. You can pull the wrap through sling rings. So I have medium-sized sling rings. Those will probably work. So you want to take the two rings and pull your wrap up through. And then make them go kind of off to the side like this. You can see that. Take your wrap and put it through that gap there. So it looks like this. You can see on the other side, looks like this. And then you just take the sling rings and keep them apart like that, and just pull the wrap through the rings until you get to the other side, and then turn it around and pull it again. And that pulls it through the rings and also gives it friction to break it in. The last thing you can do is also sleep on your wrap. Just bunch it up and put it down on your mattress and get down there and sleep on it all night long. Because that also provides friction as you toss and turn. So friction and heat, the other things for heat besides steam ironing it are you can leave it in a hot car, and the heat of the hot car is supposedly good for the wrap. That's one I haven't tried. Like the tennis balls, I haven't tried that one either. Don't leave your wrap in the sunlight though, because the sunlight will obviously start to sun bleach the wrap, and it could break down the fibers more than you actually want it to. So don't leave it in the sun. Leave it in a hot car that's like with the wrap covered up or something like that, so it's not getting direct sunlight. So yeah, that's why you want to break in a woven wrap, because the fibers start smooth and you want them to start to break down a little bit so that they start to lock together, so the fibers aren't moving around, they're really locked in place. You want to use friction and heat in order to break in a wrap. Always wash and dry a wrap when you first get it, and sometimes you might want to iron it depending on the fabric. Always follow your manufacturer's instructions. And then you can use braiding the wrap, you can use rings, hammocks, all kinds of those friction ideas and other heat ideas to make those fibers break down and start to lock into each other. So that's this episode of Wrap Geekery with Amy. I'm Amy. And this is my squish, and he is getting a little fussy. If you have ideas for other episodes, leave us a comment, and I'll look at them, and I'll geek out on the things that you want me to geek out on, for the most part, as long as I find it geek-worthy, I guess. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and thanks for listening to my squish get fussy. Have a great week. Bye.